Good morning, this is Lee from Fondant and Apron Strings doing hopefully a demonstration for the Sweet Life, which is our YouTube. It's incredibly early in the morning, which is why I'm doing a voice, but I may be very silent during this, so I'll just add some writing at the bottom when I put it together. So I'm hoping to do this in real time, and what I'm going to be doing is to cover a 10-inch cake. But really the technique I'm going to be showing you is one of the ways that I use to marble fondant for a cake. There's lots of ways, you can find lots of ways, and I do use lots of different ways, but this is the one I want to use today. So let's get on with it, shall we? Let's show you some of the equipment we've got. Well, I'm using, by the way, I'm using a new funky thing. I've just bought this thing on a stand. It's really cool. Attached it to a shelf, and I can waggle it up and down. I'm very excited. I get very excited over the very strangest things. Anyway, I'm using Bako Select white sugar paste. I do love a Bako. Renshaw is also my second favourite, but Bako for fondant covering. Colour splash, everybody knows I love a colour splash, and I think today it's raspberry, and then we've got Sugar Flare baby pink, and because I love this baby pink colour. I have a tub of icing sugar. Somebody needs to ask me where I got this tub from, and hopefully somebody will recognise it. And then I have, surprisingly, I don't know if you can see that, a huge big piece of plastic pipe. I invest in a lot of different rolling pins, but for the very long cakes, so I don't get any seams when I roll them out, I have a long piece. So don't think you need to spend a lot of money on equipment. So let's start by doing this. So as you can probably hear, that's quite solid. So it's very early in the morning and it's quite cool in here. I like it cool. It's the summertime that bugs us back here in the Fondant and Apron Strings Cake Cafe when we're covering up. There's a bin down here, so don't just think I'm throwing things on the floor. I'll put that sharp thing away, actually. Can you hear how hard that is? So what I tend to do is just to break it up into pieces to get it started and give it a little bit of elbow grease just to start it off. Now if you want to cut to the end of this demonstration, that's fine, because you probably already know how to do this. But because, like I keep saying, this is a real life cafe and we make things for real live cakes, this is actually going on a cake. So it's not like I'm going to edit it to make it look super duper different when I come to the end of it, because I might take out a couple of minutes that I think are just crazy boring. But this is going on a cake, and I won't put this out until obviously the cake is delivered, or picked up in this case, because that would be very unfair on the person who gets the cake, going, oh, I recognise some of those things. And actually, this cake is one of the things we specialise in, which we call tribute cakes. And our tribute cakes are the most personal cakes that we make. And really, it has nothing to do with the person who's receiving the cake. I know that sounds very strange, but it's got to do with the family and friends. So what happens is family and friends, I'm just wellying this together. Can you see what I'm doing there? Family and friends email me or send me in or bring me in lots and lots and lots of ideas, memories, where they worked, silly family jokes, all of the things that are really personal to them. Maybe they have a special car or a special friend or a special thing they like to do as a hobby or a pet. Or so maybe for a 10-inch cake we normally ask people to send in maybe 15 ideas. At least anyway. Sometimes it's more, and that's great. And I get to make all of those things into edible cake decorations. Can you see it's all coming together now? And one of the ways you know, it's very cold this, okay, so I'm having to put some elbow grease into it. One of the ways you know this is ready is, can you see here, we've got some creases here. That's when it's just starting to get together. Now I'm going to be adding colour, so I'm not going to be moulding it too much. And can I also say to you, so far I haven't put any icing sugar down. Icing sugar, some people use cornstarch, I use icing sugar, is can actually dry it out, and most of the time you really don't need any until you start to roll it out. And the more you play with this, the harder it's going to get. So I've just picked up some toothpicks. So what I want to do is, let's do the light colour first. This is quite solid, can you see? Don't be fooled by buying food colourings from, just broke my toothpick. See, things happen. Don't be fooled by buying food colourings from supermarkets and things like that in liquid form to colour fondant. And what I'm going to do is literally just put strips of it in there. Can you see? Now the reason I've got lots of toothpicks is because it's a bit like jam. You don't put a dirty knife back into a jam pot because it makes it go off. So each time I dip it in, I add a little bit, use a different toothpicks. So what I'm going to do is fold that over. Actually, let's do this. Let's put a little bit of this in now. So this is the raspberry, and this is a little bit more liquid, so it's easier to come out. Can you see I'm just sort of like striping it on? Yeah, don't be fooled by buying paste from supermarkets. Okay, just folding it over just to hide those bits. It'll all become apparent soon. Can you see I've got a nice clean bit there? So I'm going back in with this. I've already used that. Because fondant does not like water, and you pay the same amount for something you get from the supermarket, which is inferior, quite frankly, to something you get from a cake making supply or on that well-known internet site or in your local small business decorating place. And actually, see what I've just done again. Right, so I'm gonna, and actually it's better and they last longer and they're more concentrated. I mean, one of these little things will probably cost just a couple of pounds, and they're so much better. Okay, so what I'm going to be I'm just going to keep going until I see something come through. You'll see what happens, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. Again, I haven't put any icing sugar down. That doesn't mean I'm not going to, it just means right now I haven't. Can you see what's happening? You can see some of the colour starting to come through. So you just keep doing that until it happens. And of course, I'm always, if there's a small business near you that does sells cake stuff, I'm a great advocate. Support small businesses, especially this Christmas. I mean, a couple of pence to a supermarket doesn't make any difference, but a couple of pounds to a supermarket, small business, you know, makes a difference. Okay, can you see how wonderful that is at the moment? Right, so it's got some great colouring going on there. Now, I want a couple of more deep things in there, so what I'm going to do is open it up, put a couple of more deep ones in there, because you sort of get layers of colour if you do this. So part of it will look faded, part of it won't. And because I've got the pale pink coming through more than the raspberry, just put a couple of raspberries in there. Now, whatever happens, do not over mold, do not over work this, because a couple of things will happen. You'll just get pink, which is lovely, and that normally happens when we get into a little bit of a panic. I'm just clearing up these things because I need to move. I've got shells everywhere here. It's always nice to have a bin nearby, and get rid of this here, because I am a bit cack-handed. See, this is what happens in a real place. Right, so here comes the icing. Rule of thumb, when I'm teaching, I'll say that if it's not moving, it's not working. That's what I say about fondant, because you really don't want to stick it to the table. So let's go. So I've just put ice in there, and with my trusty pipe work, I'm going to start to roll out. Now I'm sort of pressing into a circle, if that makes sense, moving the fondant around, not too much at the moment. Can you see the pinks coming through? There, I love this. And the more you roll this, the more different layers of colour will be revealed. Going to move some of this icing sugar underneath. Remember, it's not working, not moving, it's not working. How cool is that? So what started as a base colour of white is now coming to this lovely streaky pale pink, which is the baby pink, and this raspberry. Can you see I'm sort of making it into a circle, just moving some of the icing sugar. Try not to use too much icing sugar, particularly when you're doing this, although you can squidge it up and roll it out again. It's obviously best to do it just once, because the more you squidge it up and bring it all together, the less of the marble you'll find in there. But if you have to do that and you bring it all together and you lose the colour, just add a few more streaks of your predominant colour, the darker colour maybe, before you roll it out the next time, and all that will do is to give you a just a different sort of marble, really, a deeper marble, so the background colour will be deeper, but you'll still have the same shades. The nice thing about this marbling is you have no idea what it's going to look like until it's all done. Look at that. I think that's so pretty. Can you see all of that? Yeah. What I'm going to do is I just want to show you the other side. So I'm going to roll this up, and I'm just going to put a little, literally, tiny bit of icing sugar on there, because I just don't want it to stick to itself. But I just want you to see what the other side is like. And some people might prefer the other side. I actually like the first side, so I like that deep. So that's going to be the thing that's going to go on the cake. And I'll show you how to do that right now. And I prepared the cake. So all of our cakes are covered in chocolate ganache. Okay. Can you see that there? My newfangled toy. And what I've done is I have got boxes here with everything just to hand. What I've done, I have this was ganache the day before. Yesterday was baked yesterday, ganache yesterday, and I've just added a little bit of water to it about 20 minutes ago, and then dabbed all the water off just to give it a bit of sticky. So I've got some tools here: pizza cutter, unknown hero of cake, a couple of these, which are smoothers, and this magic thing, which you can either make or buy. Ask me about that. And underneath here I've got turntables, which I shall get in just a second. So here we go. Can you see it? Right, so what I'm going to do is position it on, holding the weight of the fondant on the rolling pin, and very quickly, but very slowly, if that makes sense, is to go around and push it against the cake. Now I think the stress parts of these are around the edges here, because that's where it tends to split if you got too much weight in it, which is why I hold the weight. Put it on the top. Make sure you've got a nice skirt around your fondant. Don't try and skimp on rolling out the fondant. You're going to need more fondant than you're actually going to use to cover a cake, because it's the skirt that is, once you get round to the end. So securing the top here so it doesn't split. Pushing it down, pushing it down. See, that skirt is the thing, like a tablecloth, that's going to flare out. Okay. Pushing around with the smoother, all around the edges, on the top. What you're doing is making the top stick so that it helps with distribute the weight. And then we're going to go around and push down the bottom. Like that. And then with your trusty cutter, I hope you can still see this, I'm going to go into cut the excess fondant off. Don't go too close to the cake, because you can always take more off rather than put more on. It's a bit like salt and soup. And then just go around again and do the bottom. Okay. Keep smoothing. By the way, if you have any questions, just ask. And also please subscribe. Like I said, we are real. We're not we don't have fancy lighting and cameras. This is all done on my phone. I just think that things happen with cakes, and it's people need to see real cakes and real solutions to problems and what really happens back here, rather than lots of hair and makeup and good lighting. And I'm sure people will argue about that, but that's my opinion. So, because I have a turntable, I have several under there, I'm just going to pop this on the turntable and then get it back into your camera view. You got that? Okay. And then I'm going to use these to go around here. So I've got one on the top, one on the side, on the flat edges. So you should be able to just see or feel this little lip. So if that's nice and flat against the side, let that just overlap a little bit. And I use my body, it's a whole body workout, so I hold the turntable against my body, and then I just come back here, that's it. Just to give it a little bit of a helping hand with the edges. Less round. You don't need to. I like a not too crisp edge on it. I like just a little bit of a crisp edge on it. And I'll show you the other magic tool that I use, which is so brilliant. I think over the years I've just developed ways of making life easier and quicker. And on a budget as well, I have to say. It's, you know, so small businesses. Right, last one. And I'll just smooth that down again. And then this fabulous little thing here basically helps you with the edges. So you just literally put that on the top there. Can you see what I'm doing yet? Don't forget, you can see I've got paint, food coloring all over. Put it on the top, gently hold the side, and you're going to move it around your cake. Can you see what happens there? I hope you can. You've got to mix the edges a little bit more defined. Okay. Like I say, please subscribe if you like this and like it, and I'm going to try and release one of these videos every week. Because we make a lot of cakes here in a cake cafe. And if you're in Stanhope, County Durham, tiny little village full of local businesses, please pop along. And obviously if you need us to make cakes, hey, you know, check out our website. www.fondantandapronstrings.com, all one word. You'll see some of our examples of work. You'll see our dessert bars to die for. There you go. So I'm going to keep doing that for a little while. So there you go. So hopefully that it made it easy, and it's pretty. Okay, so have a great day, and I'm sorry this is a 20-minute video, but that's sort of how long it took. Okay, have a great day. Mwah!